And yeah, look at that. Hey, we're live. It's been a minute. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday morning. This March 4th at about 11:13 U.S. Central Time. I am your host, Patrick Almond. And for those of you that know me, it's good to see you again here on wherever it is, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter/X, and the various Facebook locations. And for those of you who have never seen me live before, welcome. Welcome to the party. This one will not take terribly too long, but I'm a techie at heart, and I thought it would be good for me to hop in and tell you what, as of March of this year, what tools I'm using. And you may think this is irrelevant. You may think that why is this guy in my face talking about tools? And a couple of reasons. One, I'm a nerd at heart. I'm just a well dressed nerd who shaves his head every single day and who happens to be well spoken. A lot of nerds, geeks aren't, the stereotype. We hide out in closets and we never socialize, things like that. So I am not one of those. I'm a well spoken geek. I can speak from the C suite down to any particular level when it comes to tools. Another reason is number one, the tools I use are usually pretty well researched, though, and highly recommended. And number three, I do this a couple times a year. And the reason I do that is because my tool set is constantly shifting and evolving depending on what comes out, depending on what is popular, depending on what works for me and my agency and my clients, depending when people come to me asking for stuff, asking for training, asking for keynotes, asking for, on-site marketing training, whatever the thing is, I always like to make sure I'm kind of up and on the latest kind of tools. So I'm going to cover a few tools here that I've probably discovered recently, between 2023 and 24. The goal of this video, one, is to give you a place to start researching tools, number one, to give you a place to start asking me questions about these tools if you don't know if these are the kind of things that you need to be using or should be using, whatever. And number three, basically just inform you so you have a good place to know what the tools that you should be using, what they're like. So the first one that comes to mind, I am really enjoying using these days, is called GoodNotes for my iPad. I'm a huge iPad person right here. And on my iPad, whenever I go into any meeting these days, I obviously unlock it and I go into a tool called GoodNotes. And in GoodNotes right here, I just sit there with my Apple, I think I have the Apple Pencil, yeah, every single day. I just take notes. Now, for the longest time, I only wanted to use the built-in Apple handwriting notes one, but I've just noticed that this one works more like actual paper and lets me do a lot more organizing and lets me do cool things like record something as I'm taking notes on it. So, I'm here, I hop over here, I've got, a different notebook with different pages you can hop into. I've got over here where I hop over into my list of notebooks, and I've got, personal, business, things like that over here. And so I basically can sit here in a variety of notebooks, excuse me, and hop in between them depending on what I'm doing. So that's my big one right there. Is because I want to be the kind of person, and I said this in previous videos. If you're a follower, and by the way, if you're not a follower, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, do whatever you do, especially on YouTube. I need you to click that subscribe button and that little bell down there. But I decided a while back that the way I want to eventually run my life is I don't want to be able to have to rely on a laptop as a consumer of information. So in my whole setup here, over here I have a giant curved screen, and over here I have my MacBook Pro, my M1 MacBook Pro right here. And while I love my MacBook Pro and I like traveling with it, I want to be able to be in an airport or on an airplane or at a Starbucks or whatever and only rely on my iPad. So, which means that I'm always looking for really great iPad apps to give me information. I like dashboards. I like places where I can take notes. I like places where I can see short and long-term calendar. Those are the kind of apps that I absolutely love on my iPad. So, if you have an iPad, consider getting GoodNotes. I think it was a very relatively inexpensive annual subscription. No big deal. It was whatever it was. It was very much worth it. And then, of course, make sure you get an Apple Pencil and a good case here also. The second app I'm going to be using, and by the way, everything I'm going to be talking about, I only know works on Apple hardware. So iOS, Mac OS, things like that. I don't know if, I'm sure they make most of the stuff I'm talking about for Windows and, PC type hardware, but I'm not a Windows PC guy anymore. I gave up that life and I found the good life. Represent my Mac friends right there. So after GoodNotes on my Mac and my Apple iPad, I look for a while back. I converted to an email slash calendaring program called what is this called right here? This is called Missive. I'm sorry. This is Missive right here. And what this is this is a really good just email piece of software. And again, I was okay with the Apple one until I got into Missive. Missive's a really good way to organize things, especially if you're a person that has multiple team members. So if you're a person that has other people in your company and you want to be able to converse about email topics without actually having to email back and forth, or being able to have internal discussions on a particular client's email or something like that, this is really good for that. It allows you to have discussions about email topics without actually sending the email. So it's more like an internal communication tool and an email tool, and it has a really good calendaring function. So I've got my monthly, weekly calendars on here also. So Missive is another really good tool. If you're an Apple person, take a look at it. Again, the built-in Apple Mail program worked okay. It really did. I liked it. I was just looking for a little bit more. I mean, to tell you the truth, the default Apple apps get you through the day and help you run a business. Calendar, to-do list, email, handwriting. That stuff is really great. So sometimes it's hard to find something in the App Store to compete with something like that. But I happen to find some things, and they're usually suggestions from friends. Missive was a suggestion from a friend of mine named Mateo, who also runs an agency here in Oklahoma. He always has some really good app ideas, and we bounce app ideas off of each other all the time. The third one I'm going to mention, and this may be the last one. No, this can't be the absolute last one for the day. This will be two more, okay? Two more. The third one in the list today is something called Notion. Notion with an N. And Notion is an app I discovered a while back. It's one of those things I've seen popping around and on the internet. I've seen different people use it, rave about it, and they seem to like it for calendaring purposes, for to-do lists, for project management, and mainly for information repository, if you will. So there's a quick homepage of my Notion right there. But basically, what Notion is Notion is a place where I work on client SOPs, where I maintain my list of clients and my attributes about them, and where I basically just dump company procedures. So internal, external company procedures. If it takes, if something requires 10 steps, I'll hop in the Notion, I will drill down to that client and some subcategory under that client, and I will take notes in there about what we should be doing, what the steps are, step by step kind of thing that we should be doing for that particular client. I also like the fact that it has project management in it. So a basic, task list, Gantt chart kind of thing, which is really making me reconsider my usage of ClickUp, which I really do like. The fact that you can just type in plain text pages and interlink information is brilliant. That's the whole concept of the internet and of Wikipedia. It's just a piece of information, and inside and around and whatever, you can link to other pieces of information, which can then link back. So it becomes this giant web of information. So imagine having your own Wikipedia, except for internally, and being able to control permissions about who can see what. So that's what Notion is the ability to organize information, to index it. It has built-in AI features, so you can put in a bunch of company information about a client and then say, hey, AI tool, summarize this darn thing, and it'll summarize it for you. So I'm getting more and more in the world of AI, consuming a bunch of client information and then summarizing it for me. I also like the fact that they came out with something called Notion Calendar, which is really cool. So I told you over here I was using Missive for my calendar, right? Well, I have to admit, a little bit of a confession, I'm actually using Missive in combination with my calendar in Notion. So over here in Notion, and it won't look that great on iPad, it looks much better on desktop, but over here in Notion, there's something called the Notion Calendar, where I can hop into Notion Calendar and say, obviously say, what do I have going on for X number of days, but the desktop version is really cool because you can look at it from a month perspective. And it's also really good about keeping what's coming up next in front of you. So on my Mac here, you can't see it. On my Mac here, I've got an appointment that is ongoing until for the next 4 days, 14 hours and 36 minutes. You can't see it here, and I'll do another session later if anybody wants to see what I'm seeing. But I've got what I have going on today, here, tomorrow, all the way through, it looks like Sunday, March 10th, which is just a week minus a day from now. But I can very easily see everything in one giant long list of what I have coming up, along with the forecast for each day, which is really cool. So Notion and Notion Calendar are ones I highly suggest you check it out. The basics of Notion are free. I was able to get a whole thing up and running without paying anything, but now I'm a paying Notion user. And I'm feeling that Notion Calendar is going to become my new kind of default calendar, if you will. If I put everything, if I take all my tasks that I use over in ClickUp and I put those in Notion and I have all my client information in Notion, it just kind of makes sense that that would be the main project management tool that I would use. I have to admit, I have a little bit of an addiction when it comes to calendaring and planning tools. I actually have on my Mac right now, I have the Notion calendar, I have the Missive calendar, and I have this other popular one called Motion with an M. So talk about confusing, I'm using Notion with an N, and I am also using Motion with an M and N. Motion's kind of cool. I don't think I'll be using it long term. Motion is basically this app where you define all your projects and your tasks, personally and professionally, and Motion will just rearrange stuff into empty spots. So after this live, if I have half an hour of nothing on my calendar, Motion will look at my project list and say, oh, you were supposed to build this sales page. It's going to take you 20 minutes. You've got half an hour over here. Why don't I drop that in there for you? And if I don't mark it as done because I was doing something else, let's say I was having a bowl of Cheerios, I can then, Motion will then say, oh, not done. Okay, I'm going to find the next half hour and put it in there. Now imagine doing that, but all the available slots on your calendar, and then all the available projects and tasks you have. So it's constantly manipulating stuff based on the priority you give it, based on whether or not it's personal versus professional. But mainly the main differentiator, I think, is the how important it is kind of thing. So it knows that a 1 hour long high priority task needs to be scheduled and completed before a 10-minute very low priority task kind of thing. So Motion is pretty cool. I'm just not quite sure how much I like it. The idea of something just constantly rearranging my calendar. And it's one of those apps that pops up when I restart my computer. It comes up full screen. So when I restart my computer, Missive starts, Notion starts, Notion Calendar starts, and a Motion starts. So because Motion only does the calendaring function, I may kind of scrap that. Actually, I'm probably going to scrap that in terms of either using ClickUp and Notion or using 100% Notion. I'm feeling 100% Notion is what I'm going for because it does have the calendaring functions there. And the last tool, which I'm barely going to touch on, but I could probably do a whole video on, and you're going to see plenty of other content from me on this, is our new CRM. I call it the Playmaker CRM, but really, let's cut the BS. It's a white label version of Go High Level, and I am absolute fan of Go High Level. If you know anything about me, you know that I spend a lot of time researching database tools and CRMs for clients. And over the years, I have jumped in between different ones, 100% guilty. But as an agency and as somebody who loves all-in-one tools, Go High Level, as I think they've really won me over. I've got several clients on it. If you're someone who's in the shopping mood for a CRM, if you're the kind of person who's tired of patching things together, most of the clients that come to me, a lot of them are professional speakers and thought leaders and authors and whatever. And most of them, it's like a cookie cutter model that most people have. Most people start off with something like a MailChimp or a Constant Contact. Then Russell Brunson's thing came out, so they got the ClickFunnels. So ClickFunnels, you buy something, and then it pushes over here to MailChimp, and yada, 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 you got these two. Then you've got your WordPress website over here, and maybe you have another website or two in Wix or something else. You've got all that, and then maybe you've got a couple of other tools here and there to keep track of your opportunities. So maybe you have like a Pipedrive or a Pipeline kind of tool or a Close.io tool. I mean, the usual person that comes to me has a tech stack with anywhere between 5 and 10 different tools in it. And not only the tool, but the little connectors. So like Zapier and Plus this and things like that. These are the tools I call the connectors, the ones that kind of hold all the big tools together. Go High Level just gets rid of like 80-90% of the tools all the clients come to me with. And these days I got clients coming to me all the time wanting Go High Level because it reduces their cost, and it reduces the number of bills they have. You'd think those two would be synonymous, but they're not always. And because more information is in a single place, the intercommunication and the sharing of information and the ability for you to make decisions based on really good, up-to-date data is really awesome. So I'll be talking more about Go High Level as 2024 goes on. I've been using it myself for somewhere between 6 months and a year. I don't know exactly when. And now, like I said, I'm deploying it to all clients. So it's definitely something you want to consider using. If you like all-in-one tools and you want fewer bills and you like keeping more of your money. Hey, if there's a tool that you know I'm using or that you're using or you think I should check out, do me a favor, leave a comment below and I'll install it and check it out. Because I'm all about learning this technology stuff. It's how I've made my money over the years, is just installing a ton of tools, figuring out what worked, what doesn't work. So if you want me to check out something of yours, please do, number one, subscribe and make sure you turn on notifications for this. I definitely need your subscriptions because obviously I'm not making any money off of this. I'm not one of those big YouTubers. So if you shared my content or subscribed, I would really appreciate it. And I would also like a comment from you to see how much this has been useful for you. I don't go live too often and I'm upping my content game. So we're going to get back into this. Usually I have a cup of coffee and I will stream as long as I have a cup of coffee. Today, it was the protein drink. And there's a little bit down in there still, a little bit of the protein drink left. Yep, I polished it off. It's gym night here in the Almond Body, and there will be very high protein meals during the day, and then lots and lots of reps tonight. So I'm going to get started on that. But thank you for hanging out with me for about looks like past 15 to 17 minutes. I hope this has been useful for you. If you are not watching on YouTube, this will be on YouTube afterwards. And I'll get a nice thumbnail up for it and a title for it. And for those of you that did stick around the entire time live, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And hey, March is starting off. The weather's starting to get good, which means our attitudes are going to improve. We're going to get outdoors more, and we're just going to be nicer to each other. And it's unfortunate that the weather affects that, but it really, really does. So get outside, enjoy the weather, go out and be a playmaker. I'm all about creating playmakers, and I will make you a playmaker before the year is over. Thank you for watching. Let's get some coffee in you, and let's kick some ass this week. Take care.